Dentists that own their own practice, provide customer service excellence, and work with a professional SEO make the most money. Welcome to Dental SEO 101, a podcast dedicated to helping dentists retire well.
Hello, and welcome to the Dental SEO 101 podcast, episode number 1 by First Dentist. My name is Ross Dunn. I am the director of SEO and co-founder of First Dentist. On most future episodes, I'll be joined by my good friend and colleague, Scott Van Ack, who's a 20-plus veteran of SEO. However, today I'm going to be soloing it. Now, let's do a quick intro on me. Who the heck am I? Well, I started a different digital marketing company back in 1997 called Stepforth Web Marketing. That company is still going strong. And 27 years later, I can say I've worked with countless companies. But what's been most interesting is the wide variety and sizes and levels of success that I've worked with, from Time Inc. in New York, where I taught Sports Illustrated and People Magazine how to do SEO in-house, to the smallest mom and pop in my backyard, practically. I found that working with the smaller businesses was my deepest pleasure. I really enjoyed making a fundamental difference to their company's bottom lines. It's hard to do that with the big Fortune 500s, even if the pay is slightly better and it is exciting. It's just not the same. And really, what do you have to do? If you have to work for 27 years doing something, you got to love it. And I do love working with smaller businesses and dentists. So I also took over the podcast SEO 101 on WMR.fm. I did that back in 2008. And since then, it's had well over 3 million downloads. And it's been liked by the likes of John Mueller at Google. So, and also it's won a lot of awards from, or at least top 10 lists. We don't really have awards for this sort of thing, but it's been listed as a top podcast in SEO worldwide for many, many years. And we're really proud of it and enjoy doing the episodes. Anyway, fortunately, that notoriety that we built brought Michael Lamb, my co-founder, to me. And he and I started working together, two separate businesses working together. I was a vendor, and he really just wanted to see whether or not what he was hearing about Stepforth was true. And we worked together, and it really worked out well. We knew we had a good thing together and decided to create First Dentist Marketing. And that's where we are now. 2016 is when we created it. But since then, we've built a great client list with success to match. We're very, very proud of it, and felt it was time for a podcast. It seemed this industry is lacking a great one-on-one podcast for dentists and their admins and whoever else they have on staff. And we just wanted to make sure that we could offer something that was truly of value and would be a great start for everyone. Without further ado, let's begin. A quick note on some jargon for today's show. I'm going to try and keep this minimal, but there's some jargon and acronyms that I do use. First of all, it's SERPs, SERPS. These are search engine result pages. I'll try and not use the acronym, but occasionally it comes out. This is the result you see after you've done a search on a search engine. It's that simple. It just keeps things a little simpler when we're trying to describe stuff. Search engine algorithms. These are essentially many complicated equations used to evaluate websites that are, to put it very simply, layered upon each other to create the search engine results we see. So these algorithms just get layered upon on each other and upon each other, upon each other, all different types of filters, and that ends up being the result we see. Indexing. So this isn't a perfect explanation, but it's really all you need to know. It's essentially the act of going to your website. This is a search engine. It's sending a bot, an automated system, to grab the information on your site so that it can look at it. It's actually more of a crawling system, and then it indexes. But again, I don't want to get too much into the weeds here. it is taking that information, and only a certain amount of it may be taken. It all depends upon how much Google trusts your website and just how big it is, if there's any problems with it, et cetera, et cetera. It is, I could talk all day about it. There's a lot to talk about, but that's the bare minimum of it. Schema. This is a real one that gets people confused all the time. So it's a code in the form of structured data. I'm quoting here from a great result I saw online. A code in the form of structured data that communicates the meaning of your page, elements, and how users should see it to the searching tool, and in a language the search engine can understand. Schema is hidden behind web pages. You don't see it visually when you're visiting a website, but it does help a search engine understand what it is seeing. If there's a zip code on the page, a postal code, it's going to explain this is a zip code or this is a postal code. That's the simplest example. There are many different types of information that it can explain to the search engine, so it doesn't have to guess. It's very useful, and a lot of it is what assists AI in today's world. So very important stuff. Jumping right in, there was a huge Google search document leak. So essentially, Google's very quiet about what it does to evaluate websites and how they determine who should rank and where. For good reason. There's been spammers over the years who have taken advantage of Google to push everyone out and move ahead. This is in our industry called the black hat world of SEO. We are strictly a white hat agency. We don't want to do anything that's going to keep us awake at night thinking that we might hurt or harm our clients' website rankings. We want to ensure we're doing everything as much by the book as possible to ensure that your website or our client websites perform well and can stand the test of time when the rankings happen. So we build them up and they're going to stick. So because Google has to make these changes to always counteract these black hats, they don't like to share their secret sauce, and for a good reason. Yeah, it makes good sense. However, over the years, they've, well, let's just say outright said lies. It might be a bit strong, but I don't know. Based on this leak, it's hard to say that. It does look like they were just trying to confuse us and not actually answer our questions. Again, if we're hitting something too hard, heavily on the mark that they don't want to share, I guess they have to. All right, that's enough of giving Google the benefit of the doubt. Let's jump right in. So this leak, very possibly, we don't have evidence. We don't work at Google. We can't compare what's actually there and what we know. So anyway, it seems to reveal the inner workings of their ranking algorithm. So this is really exciting. Our whole industry went a little bit bonkers over this, and there's still lots of fallout over it. Google has had various responses we'll get into, but let's just jump right into this. The first response Google had is, "We would caution," and this is a quote, "against making inaccurate assumptions about search based on out of context, outdated, or incomplete information. We've shared extensive information about how search works and the types of factors that our systems weigh, while also working to protect the integrity of our results from manipulation," unquote. What else are they going to say? Even if this was dead on, they'd have to say something like this because it just seeds a little bit of doubt, right? Anyway, it appears that this leak is accurate as of March 2024. That is really recent and really good news for everyone who's excited about this. The document that was released is very verbose and not for the faint of heart. It includes over 14,000 ranking attributes across 2,596 modules. Think of them like almost sections of a report. It is enormous. What we've been able to gather from it is based on our experience and our understanding of how SEO works, and which is extensive. I mean, hell, myself, I've been doing SEO for 27 years. I've grown up with Google essentially, and other search engines, which I miss, because Google just took over. So, we can glean a lot from this information, but there's always going to be a bit of uncertainty. So the person who kind of released all this or made the biggest noise about this, and I believe it was because it was leaked to him through someone else, is Mike King from iPullRank. Now, some of the shortest takeaways here is that Google does use clicks for rankings. So there's a long time where we were like, come on, they have to. This just makes good sense. So if a person's clicking on a link or a result within search results and they're going to your website or another person's website, Google should be taking into account that they do that. Just seems like a no-brainer, right? And also, when they go there and they come right back because they didn't like what they found and they continue searching, that should be a good indicator for Google to work from, knowing that maybe that search result isn't great. Maybe that should be devalued. And if that happens on a regular basis, most certainly that should be considered. Since Google is all about providing the best search result for its users, that's huge. Just logical that they would do that. But they denied it all the time. So this actually says they do. Hello. Love it. Love seeing information like this. Google does have a sandbox for new websites. Now, what does this mean? Well, if you have a brand new website, you put it out there, you could be a fly-by-night business, a complete scammer, or an authentic business that has an incredible amount of potential that should rank well. But the point is, Google doesn't know. So what we call as a sandbox is this area where you're put into where while it tries to determine how well and where you should rank. So that means that when you start a new website, it's going to take a while to start showing up in search results. The sandbox is a place where you're going to be kept until Google trusts you or knows where you should rank. Sometimes you'll get a ranking right away as your site launches, but then you'll plummet very quickly as Google goes, okay, wait. I like what you got here, but I'm not sure who you are and whether or not I should trust you. Google does use Chrome data in its algorithms. Hello, this is huge. Again, something they denied. Chrome is a very popular search browser. I think it's the most popular search browser in the world. Well, Google owns it. It's their system. So if a person is spending more time on a page, if a person clicks somewhere, if there's information that Google can gather from that, you'd think that would really help their algorithms. Well, they denied it. And from a privacy-centric perspective, I think it's kind of interesting, and I don't know how that's going to backfire on them, that this could be something they're using. Again, this says it does, but we can only be so certain. The fact that they are using it, according to what we've seen here, is very revealing. And again, they denied it all the time. Link velocity. Here's some real gobbledygook, but the concept is very simple. Pardon me. If you have a website and you've been building a lot of links to it, that means you've been asking people to link to you. Maybe you've created some great content and people are linking to your website saying, this is the content to read about this dental surgery or this new machine you've gotten. This is amazing, or this great case study or testimonial, et cetera, et cetera. It could be a number of things, but people are linking to you because of that content. And you get thousands of links out of nowhere, and Google hasn't even, they've seen you get maybe one link a month. People are linking to your site going, hey, these are great guys. Go to them. Great practice. I love them. But all of a sudden you get 1,000 a month. Google's going to go, whoa, what's happening here? They need to find out that there is a legitimate reason for those links. If they find that there isn't, and that's called link velocity, the velocity just went up too quickly, they're going to start considering whether or not you are doing something spammy and whether or not those links should be devalued and completely ignored. You don't want that. So if you are doing any kind of press and you authentically get something, maybe the Wall Street Journal talks about you, no problem. You're going to get the benefit of that because Google will be able to see that quite simply. However, if you are doing this kind of work and your links aren't very authentic, you're pretty much wasting your time. You can do link building it's against Google's guidelines, but you can do it. It's just that you would never want to do it quickly. You would want to do it very slowly and very carefully, and it would then have more benefit. So that's link velocity. So they do consider it in their algorithms, which is, again, something that we never get confirmed. Disavow. This is something that happened a long time ago when you had a website that had done link building in the past and you did anything spammy, let's say you paid someone, you might have seen those emails where pay $50 and get 1,000 links to your website. It's going to help your rankings, blah, 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 because it boosts your authority and tells Google that you are the boss. You should be getting the rankings. Well, those never work. I mean, they haven't worked for decades. So those people are still selling them because there's still people who will bite. About 5 years ago, or at least, Google used to penalize websites for doing that. Now they just disregard them, or so they say. So you would have to submit a disavow report if you found a whole bunch of this garbage and you wanted to try and get back into Google's graces. You'd say, here are all the links I have. These are the ones that should be discounted. I do not have anything to do with these. Please do not consider them against me. And there was often a chance for people to get back into Google's graces by doing that. Well, Google doesn't look at that anymore. It was essentially a separate training set that they used to try and evaluate things. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. It is not super important, but it is good to know that disavow is really, truly not useful at all anymore. They've as much said that recently, but it took a while. First of all, anchor mismatch. So if a person is linking to you from to your practice from, say, a hair salon, and that link says, here's a great mechanic in town, and it links to your dental website, yeah, that's not going to work. So that's the anchor. That text is the anchor. And anchor text has to match what they're linking to. Makes easy. It's so simple, right? It makes good sense. Here's a great dentist you should use. And if that links to your website, there you go. That's going to help. Now, the relevance of the page does matter too, to a degree. You're going to get far more value from that link if it comes from a dental organization or something along those lines. But there's no harm in getting a link from whatever, the hair salon, if they're saying this is a great dentist. Love them. Had a great experience. Check them out. SERP demotion. Okay, so if Google has any idea that a particular ranking, we sort of discussed this earlier, isn't getting, is bouncing. People are going to the web page from the link and then they're coming right back to Google and searching again. There is a demotion. There's evidence that there is a devotion based on the dissatisfaction of those people. Again, makes good sense. Now, if another one is a nav demotion, so navigation, so the experience of navigating your website, if there's evidence that that isn't great, Google looks at that in many ways, not just in how people actually interact with it, but how it interacts with it and what sort of layers of and issues it notices that these are issues that Google knows have been issues in the past in poor navigation. That's going to weigh against you as well. This may or may not matter, but exact match demotion. So if you got a domain saying bestdentistnewyork.com and your business wasn't that, or let's say was Best Dentist New York LTD, whatever it is, what they're saying is that by getting that domain, it's not going to help you with the rankings. It used to help a great deal if you had the keywords in the domain and it was a real easy win. That's no longer the case. Now, I shouldn't say this because I think those domains and those business names look absolutely awful and cheap, but if you do go that route, there is still a benefit, and that is if people link to you, they say, hey, check out this dental practice. They're called the best dental practice in New York, and they link to your site. Well, that's pretty cool too. That's good text. And that's a good anchor. That's going to, probably help you with rankings. So there are advantages to it. Whether or not you want to, frankly, my opinion, cheapen your brand by doing that is totally up to you. In very competitive environments, maybe it makes sense. Product review demotions. So if you were doing any kind of product reviews for your business, you would want to ensure that you're very careful that you've authentically used those products. So if you're a dentist and you're reviewing toothbrushes, no problem. That's probably going to be just fine. If your site is significantly, a significant portion of your site is about product reviews, you might be feeling a bit of a pinch right now in terms of search rankings because Google is, well, frankly, taking a dim view of product sites unless they're confident the person who wrote the content has tested those products themselves and are not just regurgitating content from another website, which is probably 90% of the content online are these people who are just farming that other person's experience and duplicating it. So they want to be sure that you've got the author that wrote that page is the actual dentist or someone or a hygienist, and they have the qualifications to account for that. That's something I can talk to you more about if you're more interested in how to do that. It requires a proper bio page with schema markup and a whole bunch of things to ensure that all the dots match up and the checklists are accurate for Google. Indexing. Ideally, links should come from fresh or top tier pages on your site. So if you want a page to rank or to get, how do I put this? If you want a page on your website to be indexed or crawled regularly and have a better chance of being in Google's index, the one that they show on search results, there is a greater benefit to having it linked to from your homepage, to put it the most simply, or other top tier pages on your site, places that are common entry pages on your website. So if you create a great article or a great product review and you really want Google to take it seriously and you want it to be cornerstone content on your website, this is the kind of content that will be another entry page on your site that you know will draw a lot of interest. You should link to it from those pages. That doesn't mean you just go and link to every page on your site from those pages. That's a bad idea. That kind of thing just oversaturates the site, and yeah, it's another discussion. Just don't do it. Be very sparing with where those links are. I'm not saying your navigation can't be very comprehensive, but there is science to that too. Just yeah. Again, I think we should have another episode just talking about navigation. There's so much to talk about. Next, font size and weight. How about this? This is a shocker. So the size of your font and whether or not it's bold actually has a bearing on ranking. Now, it is tiny. I can guarantee it. It is not something that's going to make a big difference in rankings. Now, where every little factor adds up and makes a difference, this is good to know. I mean, if all else is created equal against a competitor and you just happen to use better weights and balances and headings and font sizes and stuff, you may do better just because of that. So it's always good to know this information. Document truncation. So if you have a really long piece of content on your site, put your best content forward. Don't leave it to the end of the page. Put it forward. Doesn't mean it has to be the first thing they read, but maybe the second, third paragraph. That way, if the page is too long, Google may truncate how much they're looking at and you'll miss out. Page title match. So if your title of your page, that's the title you see in the browser at the top if you're using Chrome, it's in the tab. You'll see what the name of the page is. And it's also the title that you see within search engine results. If that matches the title on the page and the rest of the content on the page, that is still going to be weighed positively to a query. So a person does a search for that exact same the exact same title, you're going to do better, and you'll have a better chance of doing well in search results. Dates are very important. It's very important that if you have content that was written on a specific date, this is, let's say, blogs or articles, and there is a difference. You need to ensure that there is a date on the page. Google is very fussy about ensuring that they're showing fresh content. And if they have any doubt, they're not going to show it. They want to know that what they're showing is fresh. It doesn't mean that the other content can't appear, but fresh content is going to win. It just, what's it? The old term, freshness deserves visibility or something along those lines. I can't remember the old saying in our industry, but that's the concept. Okay, so ensure that you do include the date. I hate pages that don't have dates, and perhaps give a tutorial or a product review. How old is this stuff? There's no way to know. Let's see here. Trying to decide if these are worthwhile. Okay, yeah, here's one. Video sites. They're treated differently. So if more than 50% of your pages on the site have videos, it will be using different algorithms to evaluate how it should rank. This isn't very common in dental practices, but I'm sure there are examples where this is the case. So do keep in mind that videos are a fantastic thing to have. I cannot recommend them enough. But if over 50% of your pages are using them, you better really discuss it with your SEO and see how that's going to impact the overall success of the site. So some quick takeaways here. Page title length can be as long as you want. But it also should be relevant to, should be relevant to the page, obviously, but it also is best if there's an exact match to common searches online. Use fewer authors on more content. This is some additional, I should note, this is some additional takeaways from Michael King. Yeah. Okay. So use fewer authors. So if you have all of your team writing, it's not a bad thing. It's very, very uncommon in the dental field, because most of the time it's just two or one person that's writing for the blog. Just make sure that person has a lot of subject matter expertise and can show their credentials. That's very important. And those credentials need to be on a bio page, as I mentioned before. Focus on links from sites with traffic. If you're going to get links from sites, make sure that that link is relevant. First of all, it's coming from a site that has some traffic and is relevant. Okay. So if you are, well, I guess the hairstylist is an example. That's not a very relevant link. Most relevant link would be coming from the dental association. So ideally you would get a link from there, and hopefully that site also has some traffic. We're talking about ideals here. The hairstylist is not a bad idea if it's saying this is a great dentist nearby. In fact, that's a great local link, which I would never discount. When you're writing content from your site, default to originality. Try not to regurgitate what everyone else has written. If you are going to take on a topic that everyone else has written, be original in how you tackle it. Originality is a part of Google's algorithms. It's not great necessarily at choosing originality yet, but this is all part of AI. They are working on it, and it's really important to them. So keep that in mind. If you want to buy an old domain, so say a practice nearby has shut down and you want to buy their domain, not a bad idea. Oftentimes they just let them expire, which is foolish, because those domains often have authority. Over time, Google's begun to trust them, and those pages, there's some real benefit to owning a domain there, owning that domain and having it forward to your website if it's just going to sit there idle. Just be careful, because the history of that domain may not be good. Maybe they did some very crazy, stupid things with their links. Maybe they did some spam, some black hat tactics. You need someone to look at their history, and that can be done, and determine whether or not it's worthwhile doing. I would say in most cases it is worthwhile doing. It all depends on the market and what they've been doing in the past. Ultimately, make gold standard content. Again, we talked about originality, but it's not just that. Do your best. Create content, even if you're only creating one article a month. And content's important. I'm sorry, it is really important. A lot of dentists don't do much there. It is very important that dentists write on their site and add value to it. It's too easy to be just another dentist with the same content. Differentiate yourself with excellence. So make that gold standard content and add different types of media to it. If you get interviewed on a podcast or the news or whatever it may be, get a snippet of that audio and put it in there so people can play it. If there's video, embed the video. If you want to create your own video, maybe putting in a few words or summarizing something that's on the page, go for it. It doesn't have to be fancy. You can just do it with your phone. In fact, sometimes that looks far more authentic and appealing to people because they don't feel like they're being sold something. It just looks, wow, this person really cares. They're just taking a moment out of their day to provide this content. There is another issue, entirely separate, that you should be aware of. And this is something that we're going to be hyper vigilant about for our clients. Your Google business profile, as you know, is very important to your practice. This is where you're saying to Google, I'm a local business. This is where I'm located. These are my reviews. These are my photos. Here are some Google posts about some of the specials, or new treatments we have, or upcoming charity events, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It is your hours. I mean, it's everything. It is like a absolutely powerful, amazing brochure that Google allows you to have. If a person moves the pin, so they go to an outside person, anyone, that's the frightening part, looks at your listing on Google Business Profile and they go, okay, no, actually they're located here, and they move your pin that shows on the map, you can lose all of your rankings. Just pause there for a sec. How insane is that? I just can't comprehend how big an issue that is. And it's happening all of the time. I'm dealing with literally clients in tears. And until recently, I think just this week, there's been no way to prevent this from happening. And I haven't actually seen the technology yet, but a colleague of mine has built something and I'm looking into it. But the only way to fix this is to somehow get Google's attention. And yet they're just doing these fixes one at a time. If you can get their attention, they still haven't fixed this hole, this issue. And it's been around for a couple months now. I'm just baffled. This is a perfect example of Google not caring about businesses. It's infuriating. So yeah, just to be clear here. So if someone moves the pin for your business and puts you in the middle of a lake somewhere, they can do it. And Google will accept it. It's, anywho, I have a client who just went through this, and I'm about to get another one. And someone went and took all of the competitors and put them all in the same building. And Google, there's another exploit that can, I don't want to share any more bad ideas. But anyways, that's bad. And it destroyed all of their rankings. And the competitor, can't exactly prove it was them, but they're the only one now showing, is probably doing business like gangbusters right now. It's terrifying. Now, if you try to move that back, if you go into your own listing and try to move it back, take that pin and go back to your own place, there are examples of Google suspending your account. That just triples the insanity here. I can't conceive of how much worse this could be and how appalling it is. So what do? Notify me, I guess. I will do my best to help you if you run into this situation. There are others like me as well. Look for searches on how to fix. I'm not sure what the term is right now. I'm calling it the pin hack, Google Business Profile pin hack, and we'll do our best to help you. I'm just charging hourly to do this, just to help people. I certainly don't want to take advantage of anyone. It's got to be brutal to see how much business you can lose, especially businesses that rely entirely on their Google Business Profile. So it's madness. Google's 100% to blame. I don't care if it's outside people taking advantage of Google's exploit, but the fact that they haven't plugged it yet is unforgivable. That's all I can say about that. Unforgivable. Okay. We'll get a little more into AI and stuff on another episode, but that was a lot for you to digest. Well, on behalf of myself, Ross Dunn, co-founder of First Dentist, thank you for joining me today. If you have any questions you would like answered either on the podcast for free or on a more private consulting basis, please email info@first.dentist. Thank you for listening, and remember to tune into future episodes where we'll be sharing more 101 tips and news on dental SEO. Have a great week.